political campaigns.
Yeah.
But it was more than just slavery that they attacked. It was political representation, doing away with rotten boroughs, ultimately extending suffrage.
Yeah.
The women's suffrage movement actually came out of evangelical Christianity.
Well, this is the thing, is that once the gospel is let out of the bag, so to speak, it touches everything. It affects everything. I've often preached this, that Jesus changes everything. Sometimes it takes time, but the fact of the matter is when Wilberforce was able to drag the gospel into the center of British life and onto the floor of Parliament, slowly but surely it touched everything. The thing that Wilberforce did, of which he was most proud, except for the abolition of the slave trade, was his work in bringing missionaries to India. Not many people know about this. There's a chapter in my book, Amazing Grace, where I deal with this. He thought that, well, I shouldn't say he thought, he knew that the entrenched business interests, now these were, British businessmen, in India didn't care a whit for the Indian people. They just thought, we're here, we'll let them do what they do, and we will do what we do, and we will make great profits. Wilberforce thought, no, we have a tremendous obligation to the people of India to bring them the light of truth, to bring them freedom, to bring them learning. Women were horribly oppressed in Indian society.
Burning of widows.
And I was going to say, the ultimate example of that is the burning of widows. It was called sati. Wilberforce would read the newspaper, in London, and he would seethe with rage to read of another woman who'd been burned alive. And so he said, we need to do something about this. In other words, we can't say, well, that's their culture, they can do as they like. I mean, today we have issues of female genital mutilation and the way women are treated in Islam, especially in radical Islam, and we sort of act as though, well, that's their thing and we have our thing, and you think, these are human beings. If you care about the treatment of women, you need to care about the treatment of those women. You need to crusade against it. Wilberforce fought a bitter battle to bring missionaries into India against the wishes of many in the British establishment, because he knew that when you brought missionaries, you would bring Christian values. Christian values would help the poor. Christian values would help the women. Christian values would help everyone. And they had an opportunity, and not just an opportunity, but an obligation to do it. And it's an amazing thing. If you're a woman afraid of being burnt to death, we can't even imagine the horror. Wouldn't you hope that these Englishmen who've come here, who claim to be Christians, would try to impose their Christian values so that you wouldn't have to be burnt to death? I mean, it's almost bitterly funny that who can doubt that that's what oppressed people would want, is that these Brits would impose their Christianity a little bit because we're suffering. And it was Wilberforce, it was the hot-headed evangelicals who did that. The establishment was really not very interested.